Hello. You taking a break from gaming today? They look like that when they're finished. Nice. It's good to take some relaxation time. Where are you watching from? Oh, my goodness. I've done art as long as I can remember. But I started doing these pebble drawings this spring. UK. Awesome. Nice. They start out as just washes of watercolor. And then I just add layers and more layers, different colors. And then it reaches a point where it looks like there's some shapes there that can be traced out. And once it reaches that point, I take the pen to them. So if you were to do this, your paintings, your shapes might not be pebbles. They might be squares or triangles or squiggles or clouds or leaves, animals, all kinds of things. Thank you. Do you make any kind of art yourself? Hey girl, hi, nice to see you. I am. I took a little ride with Raider this morning and then I had a nap, so. From start to finish, how long does it take? Well, the wash part doesn't take long. But there's several layers and you have to let it dry in between. So I usually work on several cards at the same time. But yeah, to see, it doesn't take long to put on the paint at all. This is watercolor paper, so it takes a minute to dry, probably maybe between 7 and 15 minutes for it to dry. And most of them have at least a minimum of 3 layers on them, I would say. But you don't have to necessarily make your own backgrounds. You could use a pattern paper, or you could crumple a piece of cardstock double the thickness of regular paper, and then unfold it, smooth it out, and just trace the lines of the crumples. These are a water-soluble wax pastel crayon, and you can get them in art supply places. You could use markers, you could use plain old watercolors, colored pencils, whatever you have. And I'm not too precious about it. Just kind of dab it on wherever it wants to go. So these little guys will take, I would say, now I've been doing them for several weeks, so I'm pretty speedy at it, but I can get one done in about 15 minutes or so. I also do some larger ones that are 8 by 8. And this size takes at least an hour to get all of the pebble shapes inked in. I just went live. I just started live about, let's see, 12 minutes ago. And this was blank when I started, so. The trick is to look at the paper and visualize, kind of let the shapes show themselves. Like, see this white area here? I'm just going to outline the white area. And I just let my pen dry out a little bit here. And then I look for another shape. So when I first started doing this, I would have to look at the paper for quite a few moments before a shape would sort of present itself. And now that I've been doing this, let's see, I think I did one a day all through July, and then probably 3 a week through August. So it's quite a few of them. And with a little bit of practice, the shapes start to appear much more easily than they did when I first started doing these drawings. And when I first started doing them, I didn't set out to draw pebbles. That was just the shape that kind of made itself known. And I will say, I would just encourage you to give it a try. Because even if it comes out a bit of a mess at first, it's just pen and paper. There's no harm, no foul in it. It's just a little exercise to concentrate on. I always say, concentrate on this point where the pen meets the paper. And if you do that for a few minutes, it helps to quiet your mind if you've got something that's troubling you or worrying you, or just trying to find a little bit of peace and calm. There's something very soothing about just tracing shapes. Um, Researchers at universities have done studies to see if they could improve participants' feelings of happiness, enthusiasm, resilience, and optimism. And one of the things that they found that improved those scores was engaging in 5 minutes a day of mindfulness. And this is a mindfulness exercise. So a lot of things could be mindfulness, meditation, prayer, those apps like, is there one called Calm, I think? But just 5 minutes a day really helped improve people's sense of well-being. So a few years ago I adopted that practice and I found it very helpful. So I always like to encourage people to take up some form of mindfulness. Because our modern life, living in cities and living by schedules, it just puts so much pressure on us. Even trying to go to school or go to work or meet the demands of a house cat. It's time to feed her. She's very loud. I'm joking a little bit. The cat's really not a... The cat's not a burden. I know, it is a surprise. It doesn't take very much of it to really make a difference. Of course, that program also had some other components. One of them included physical activity, and it demanded 30 minutes of physical activity a day for 30 days, which, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty resistant. And the first week was pretty awful. But by the end of the 30 days, I was just happy to get out the door and go for a walk. And they were right. It's good for us to move around. I know. Yeah, it does seem like 10 or 15 minutes, or should I spend a half an hour on this? Or it didn't take very much time at all. Apparently, in this modern world, we don't spend very much time being mindful of where we are, and we might not even be aware of the feeling of our feet on the ground, or our arms on the arms of the chair, or where our bodies are and what they're doing. And we also can spend an awful lot of time just worrying about things to come. And worry is thinking about something that doesn't accomplish anything, right? It's different than planning or strategizing. It's thinking about the possible outcomes and whether they're going to be negative. And worry doesn't usually take us to places where we're thinking about positive outcomes. And the other thing we can tend to do the time hashing over stuff that already happened, things we cannot go back and change. And when we're thinking about the future or we're thinking about the past, we're really not very aware of ourselves in the present. So that can manifest in things like bumping your knee into the coffee table, or dropping stuff, being clumsy, tripping over things. So if you find yourself doing that, that can just be a signal to ourselves to stop and get in our own bodies in the time, in the present, where we are, when we are. I started with those 8-inch by 8-inch pieces, and they they take they take a good chunk of time. So I've been trying to figure out something that's closer to a maybe a 15 to 30-minute exercise. And right now I'm working with these pieces that are 3-inch by 3-inch, and I think that's a pretty good size. Like, it's got there's a lot of places to make these sloppy little circles. And if I'm really enjoying the art, I can drag them out to a good 45 minutes or an hour. So. I know, it's kind of fun to watch, isn't it? People keep telling me that. I wasn't sure. I just started doing this a few weeks ago, and I've had quite a few people say they like to watch and they like to look at the paper and see if there's a spot, and will I see the same spot? Will I circle it? So I'm glad that it's enjoyable to watch. I think I almost feel like this isn't quite enough. I'm having a lot of fun circling all these. I think they're pretty good like that, but I also like to come in and add some highlights sometimes. And what I'm doing here is just looking for the spots where the pebbles might be higher up versus lower down, and just throwing a little white on there. Oh, sorry. Bumping into stuff all over. These water-soluble crayons are so much fun. I just discovered them a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and you can use them like you could just coloring crayons like we used when we were kids in school, and so that's pretty accessible. I think a lot of art media, you really have to learn how to use it, and it can be kind of intimidating. Things like markers and coloring pencils. They're nice and accessible. When I started the live, I took it out of the pile, and that's when I started making the circles. So I've been working on it for about 25 minutes, not counting making the background. I made the background yesterday. So now I'm going to lay in shadows. Any place where a rock overlaps another rock, I'm just going to put a little shadow. And this is a watercolor pencil. So it works like a coloring pencil, maybe not quite as blendable as a regular coloring pencil. And then water on the brush, it'll dissolve into a watercolor paint, smooth shadow. I like I like art supplies that you can get double duty out of. It feels like you're getting a better deal if you can do more than one thing with it. So these highlights and lowlights start to give the rocks a little bit more dimension. So I want them to look like they're just stacked on each other, like they're just tumbled by the waves at the beach. The color I'm using for that is it's a dark gray. Sometimes if I want a lot of contrast, I'll go with a black, but I find the dark gray just gives it a more natural look, a soft look. So if you were using the method I talked about earlier where you just crumpled up paper, crumple it really good, and then unfold it like like this napkin, but you'd want to use paper that was a little bit thicker. Then when you unfold, there's going to be all these wonderful crinkles and spaces that you could outline. And you could fill in your shadows using pencil or a simple pen. You really could do a version of this with all sorts of materials. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fun to use watercolor paper and then It's covered. Bigger value of the exercise is just what it can do to calm your brain, and that doesn't require the fancy stuff. It just requires the effort of sitting down and working at it for a few minutes. Wonderful. You're taking up piano. Oh, that's a good one. If you can learn the chord, you can play all kinds of music pretty quickly with piano. Did you get a full size piano or a keyboard? One of those electronic keyboards. Those are so handy. You can just take them all over the place and put the earphones in and just make music as loud as you want. Nobody complains. I inherited a piano years ago and I couldn't keep it because the neighbors would complain. I thought that I thought that was quite rude, as I always had to listen to their blasting TV, but apparently you have to have peace and quiet to enjoy your blasting TV. When do I upload? Um, Various times. I haven't really settled into a set schedule. Um, I think several of my other lives have been done. I'm 8 hours away from your time zone, and I often will upload like between 4 and 6 a.m. my time. But I couldn't quite decide on that, whether or not it was something that people would want to tune into at a regular time, or if they would just, because I will put the live on um, my channel. I always set them so that they can be publicly viewed, and I think at this stage I'm trying to find a length of time that people enjoy watching. I have a few that are around 5 minutes, and then I also co-stream. Sometimes I am invited to stream with a woman who lives in Norway, so we do things at a time zone that works for both of us. And that tends to be very early in the morning for me. But that's okay. Is it 9 a.m. for me? No, it's It's about 4:30, 5 o'clock where I'm at. Yeah, I'm 8 hours ahead. 8 hours behind. 8 hours behind you. So no, ahead. I don't process numbers very well, so as soon as I tried to think about numbers, my brain just went crunched up. So, is it like about 2 o'clock in the morning where you're at? Yeah. Okay. So it's about 5:30 here. Yeah. If you enjoy, you could, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and get notifications. I don't. I'm not putting out too much content. Although today I put out a short, and the shorts are usually things like trains or cars or airplanes, or waterfalls or scenes from nature. I think I do have a couple of shorts that are the drawings, but my lives and my videos are almost all art stuff with um, a little bit of protest work. I've been involved with a community of people who are protesting some cults in America. Well, they're worldwide actually. They're the Scientology, which is in your country as well. So there's a little bit of that, but um, I'm moving more into the art stuff. Gotta say, that other stuff is just heavy, and I don't know. I don't know how much of that we need. I think we need more of this, less of the heavy stuff. And I tend to do quite a few community posts. Like if I'm working on something in a video and I finish it up later, I will put it in a community post. So if you want to take a closer look at the work that I'm doing on those community posts, you can zoom in and you can have a closer look if you like. I guess I'm supposed to invite people to set the notification bells, but I'll tell you something. I don't set notifications myself, so I'm not really eager to tell people to do that unless, if you want to, go ahead and do it. But, um, all right. Thanks for stopping in. It was lovely to chat with you. I appreciate you watching. Alrighty, folks. Well, that gets us finished up on this one for now, so I think I'll go ahead and wrap up this live. I want to thank everybody who stopped in and had a look, and encourage you to take some time in your day to make some art, make some craft, even if it's something like cooking. That's crafting and being artful and creative. But make time to be creative. Alrighty, I see I've got a couple people there. If you want to leave me a comment, if you're interested in watching, I'll start another pebble drawing, but I always have blanks. Alrighty, folks. Be creative. Thanks for watching.